So Nintendo just had their quarterly financial report in which they announced that the Switch 2 would be rising up to $500, no bundle, no nothing, no Mario Kart. You don't get anything with that console starting in September. $500. That increases $50 up from $449, which is what it was at launch and what it was throughout this entire period that we've had the Switch 2 on the market. And then they had that bundle with Mario Kart World that was always intended to be a limited edition bundle. Now we see that they're offering another bundle, which we'll get to in a little bit, but still $500 is what the Switch 2 is going to cost. And I'm telling you right now, it may not be as great of a deal as it was last year, but it still is a very, very good deal. I have several arguments that I'm going to propose to you as to why I believe this is a good deal. But first, my friends over at COOWPS sent me a case for the Nintendo Switch 2, and I just had to show you guys what is up with this case. This case is very sleek. It still fits directly into the dock. You're not going to have to worry about taking it on and off. It will just stay on. You can slide it into your dock and it will be just fine. The Joy-Con cases are probably some of my favorite parts of this because you are able to hold it just like this and not have to worry about dropping it. And if you have bigger hands, I probably have average to large hands, but if you have bigger hands especially, this is going to be very, very, very helpful for you, especially if you're clumsy. You're not going to be dropping this thing because of the bulges. It just gives you a little bit more room to work. And on top of that, when you want to snap these off, the snapping still works on the side and you can use it for better mouse functionality. You're not going to be cramping anymore. Not only that, the case has a kickstand just like the Switch 2 does because it's covering that portion of it, so you'll still be able to use that. And lastly, it has a front cover for you to basically attach to this, and then boom, that's your case right there. So make sure you go down to the comment section or in the description, click the link that I have provided to help support the channel, and also just be able to get yourself this amazing case. Thank you COOWPS for sponsoring this video. Now back to the actual video. Now listen, $500 is nothing to sneeze at, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say that this console is cheap. No, I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm saying it's worth it. Even though it is pretty much a luxury item at this point, there's not going to be a lot of households that can just go out on any given weekend and say, you know what, I want to get my kid a new Nintendo. That's not going to happen now. 500 is just a little bit too much for most people. However, my argument today is that it is a good deal. It can be expensive and be a good deal. My first argument here has to do with the other consoles on the market, because if you look at them, it's just not even comparable in terms of how much you're saving money with Nintendo. So the Xbox Series X is $649. Series S is still at a crisp $400, by the way, which is very, very impressive for Xbox. But most of that is going to be digital, and you only get 512 gigabytes with that. 512 gigabytes is literally nothing for a game these days, especially on an Xbox. You get a Call of Duty game, it's like 200 gigabytes. That's half your console right there gone, and the other half is probably the system storage, so you're really not getting a good deal either way. Even though 400 on its own is pretty great, it's still not going to be something that you're super interested in. Then you got the PlayStation 5. PS5 Pro is at $900, a whopping $900, $400 more than the Switch 2. Then you have the PlayStation 5 physical version, which you can also put those discs in. That is up to $650, and then the digital edition is up to $600. So even if you were to look at Nintendo and say $500 for the new Switch 2 is way too much, you would have to also look at the other market, look at the other consoles out there and say it's way too much. It's not worth it. This is ridiculous. And yes, it is. Now, I do think some of this is greed on the other company's part, and a lot of it has to do with economic factors and all of this RAM, everything that you have heard of a million times at this point. Things are expensive. That's why the companies are raising the prices. So looking at the financial highlights from this last quarter, this is what we're looking at in terms of the entire year for 2025 and 2026. The operating profit ratio is the one thing I need you to focus on, and also the net profit ratio. Looking at those, minus 8.7% and then 5.6%. Those are going down. Their profit ratios are going down. Why? Because it takes much, much more money than it did a year, 2 years ago to make Switch 2s, to manufacture these things and to get them out into the public. So even though sales are literally up so much, operating profit in and of itself is up, the ratios themselves are not matching because it is costing more money. So they're literally making more money and also losing more profit. Again, we see here, this is just another chart kind of highlighting what this is. Ordinary profit and net profit are both down here, 20.7% and then 26.9%. This is, quite frankly, ridiculous for Nintendo to see these numbers and not raise the price. Furukawa himself, the president of the company, didn't seem too happy at all about having to raise this price. He actually apologized to the people. He said, hey, I'm sorry, I apologize, we wish that we could keep this cheaper, but we're going to make sure that we give you more games, basically saying that the games are coming and you're not going to have to worry about it. He genuinely seemed upset that they had to raise the prices. I could be wrong here in terms of Sony and Xbox, but those companies, Microsoft, did not go out there and say, oh, you know, like we're going to give you more games to help make up for that or give you better deals. Like, no, neither of them did that. Neither of them issued any sort of apology. They just said, this is what we're doing. Let's move on with it. And then they did it again and again. I think in Xbox cases, they have at least done 2 each in terms of price raises. This is only Nintendo's first. And Nintendo could end up having more depending on how bad this situation gets overall. But I kind of think that they might settle here at least for a year, especially because they're giving us until September. That's my other point as to why I don't believe they're being super greedy here, because they're giving us until September. And until then, right, I think what they're trying to do here is say, look, we made all of this stock of Switch 2s. We actually made so many of them, and we were making sure that launch was not going to be a scalper's fest. We're going to make sure that people who want Switch 2s can get them. And they stocked it very, very well. And it's been really beneficial for them to have made and manufactured all of those Switch 2s prior to this issue, prior to the economic factors and RAM problems and everything going on with even just like circuit boards. All of that is really, really smart for them. And they know that all of these consoles that are coming out, even though they are losing money now, some of them are still from that backflow that they made. So right now, they're making sure that we are able to get the best deal possible right before that September hit and right before they raise the price. So they're offering us a bundle, like I hinted towards at the beginning of the video. Starting in June, if you go to any store, any sort of retailer, you will get to pick. You get a Switch 2, and you get to pick between Mario Kart World, which would save you about $30, Donkey Kong Bonanza, or Pacopia, which saves you about $20. So you're essentially paying the full price for a console of what it will be in a couple months in September for the Switch 2 itself, and then a free game of one of the 3 best the console has to offer. Many, many, many people are going to go and get Mario Kart World in that process, get Pacopia, and probably Donkey Kong, but he's probably going to be the 3rd least coveted in my opinion for that. But I really do think this is going to help not only boost those game sales that are also $70 and $80, which is going to be even more expensive for people, but it's going to help consumers as a whole. So not only is Furukawa saying, you know, I apologize, and basically we're doing everything we can, but we just had to raise the price, and he's also giving us a bundle. They're giving us something to work with here. The other companies have not done that. So I'm not going to bore you with financials anymore. You can go watch my video about that if you want to know more, but still, I just don't think that they're making this out of greed. I think they really do hate doing this, and they know it's going to probably lead to less overall console sales, but they're trying to make up for it in other ways and trying to do their best for the consumer. Why do I say that? Well, even if you look at just that bundle there, they're trying to get more games in the hands of people, and they're starting to realize that the software is going to be where they make the most money from. Especially with all the hardware being as expensive as it is, the people who already bought Switch 2s and the people who will eventually make that plunge need to be able to buy multiple of their games, multiple IPs, and get hooked in on all of them. That is why I believe we're seeing new pricing models for some of their biggest first-party games that would have easily been full price in the Switch era. A game like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze that released on the Switch for $60 full when it only launched at like $50 or $40 on the Wii U and was down to $20 as a Nintendo Selects, re-released for minimal new content on the Switch for $60. We got used to that on the Switch. We got used to all the price increases and everything being full price because the economy simply wasn't as bad in 2017 as it is here in 2026. Everything in that Switch era was so much more affordable for people to go out and buy, so Nintendo had no reason to bring back Nintendo Selects or bring back anything. Their games were selling like hotcakes and still continue to this day. Switch 2, not so much. We're seeing a lot of software decline. Mario Tennis Fever, a Mario game, even though it is a spin-off, a Mario game, did not even hit 1 million in sales in the past quarter. So what they're trying to do moving forward is make sure that people are going to feel like they're more accessible, feel like these games are actually worth buying and are able to be bought. Star Fox is $50 digitally, being matched physically by some retailers for $60. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is $60 digitally. Also with Splatoon Raiders, it is $50 digitally, and all of these places are trying to match that price physically. This is something that we have not seen from Nintendo in quite a long time. Good deals on games. I really hope this is a trend and not a reaction to the market. I really do think that they're going to start devaluing their games and devaluing some of these brands. They need to make sure that is uniform across the board moving forward. These games are going back to $60 and $50 digitally. They're giving us a little bit of a breather. There is still an argument that they're only going to do that for some of the lesser franchises because Star Fox has not had a game in a long time. This is going to be his big push back after the Illumination movie, and especially just with everything going on with Nintendo, they want to make sure that you are able to get in on it. Splatoon Raiders isn't a regular Splatoon game, even though Splatoon is huge. It's not a regular one. It's a single player focus. It's a spin-off, so they want to make sure that if you are interested, you're going to go and you're going to take that splurge for $50. Then Yoshi is a smaller IP as well. People do buy Yoshi, but he's not a huge seller, so they're going to go for even cheaper, $60. By the time we get to a new 3D Mario, or even maybe that Ocarina of Time remake, I have no clue if they're going to stick to this or if they're going to go right back to $70. I guarantee you some of these games will still be $70, but we're in a really good period of time right now. Nintendo is giving us great deals. If they really meant business, I really do think that they could genuinely go back to Mario Kart World, back to Bonanza, back to some of these other games, and all lower those down $10 each. Get Mario Kart World out of the $80 range down to $70 again, Bonanza down to $60, COOWPS down to $60, all these other games cheaper. If you were just to go back and do that, I promise you, Nintendo, you would make it all back 10 times over because people would buy them. And I'm going to try to make a little bit of a shorter video here today, but lastly, my last and most important point is the amount of games we are getting. I am going to make a video soon probably about the Wii U nostalgia situation going on online. So many people are talking about it, and there was one graphic specifically that went out that just drove me insane. I can't believe that people actually subscribe to this idea, but I really do think that there are so many people that believe that Nintendo has the best games available and that they are looking back with rose-tinted glasses and saying the Wii U did have a lot of games. Yes, it did, but the Switch was totally different. But that's a different video for now. The games are insane. If you ask any Sony fan that isn't incredibly biased and isn't just going to basically defend their console to the death, they will tell you the game's output is not where they want it to be. Sure, they get some remakes here and there, they get some other stuff from third parties, but from Sony Studios, from Sony Entertainment Studios, they don't get a whole lot of first-party games. It just takes a lot longer to make games. Nintendo, whether you like it or not, releases games from first-party franchises almost every single month. Almost every month there is a brand new title from a first-party Nintendo franchise. Yes, some of that is just remakes. Yes, some of that is Switch 2 editions or Wii U ports in the term of the Switch 2 days, but if you really look at it, that is something that even Sony cannot accomplish. That is something that Nintendo has cornered the market in on, is just releasing a ton of games. Now, a lot of people are only Mario and Zelda fans, Smash fans, Animal Crossing fans. A lot of you are very into your series, and that is okay. You are still a Nintendo fan. But if you don't like all of these other games and you say that there are no games, that to me is a huge red flag because it's just not true. What you're saying is that you don't like what is being offered. It is totally fine if all you want to play is 3D Mario and 3D Zelda and all these other franchises in terms of just those couple big ones. But what you're really trying to say there isn't that there are no games, it's that you're not interested in the Nintendo games that Nintendo are providing. That's a very big difference. There's a difference between you not wanting these games and there being no games. It's just not true that there are no games. There are tons of games, and most people are playing a lot of them. In the next few months alone, we're going to have a Yoshi game, we're going to have a new Star Fox game, we're going to have a new Splatoon Raiders game, we're going to have a new Rhythm Heaven Groove game, we just got Tomodachi Life, we just got Mario Tennis Fever, we're going to have Fire Emblem eventually, Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming next year, but we can just see so many different releases that have already come. Mario Kart World last year, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Drag X Drive, for all it's worth, it's a new IP that's still a game from Nintendo. The Switch 2 editions, if you want to count those have also been filling out the schedule. There have been plenty of games to play. The biggest reason that this console is a good deal. $500 is expensive. I am not saying it's cheap. I'm not saying it's something that every single person should go out there and go bankrupt to buy. No, not at all. What I'm trying to say is this is a good deal of a console all on its own if you can afford it. So, the Nintendo Switch 2, it is absolutely a great deal in my opinion. It is a good deal. It is not something that most people are going to be able to go out and buy on a whim, but if you're able to save up for it, you are going to get your bang for your buck. That is why I believe it is such a good deal. That is why I think the price increase is technically really bad because we don't want all these prices going up anymore, but still, I see them adjusting. I see what they're doing, and I think it's pretty good for where they're at and where the market is. So if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you click the notification bell, and also consider joining my membership program. Thanks one more time to COOWPS for sending me that package. I really do appreciate having that. And also just make sure you go and click that link in the description if you want to get one for yourself. It is a high quality case. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you click on the left side of your screen to get much more of the financials and all that stuff I talked about from the quarterly report, and click on the right side of your screen to see exactly why I love the Switch 2 so dang much, even more than what I talked about today. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I hope you have yourself a phenomenal day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.